we'll be looking at incomplete dominant and dominant alleles. At the end of this lesson, make sure that you'll be able to distinguish between incomplete dominant and codominant alleles. Make sure you'll be able to explain how sex is determined, especially in humans. Make sure you'll be able to describe how sex traits affect the phenotype and genotype of offspring. Make sure you'll be able to determine the human genetic disorders that are caused by inheritance of simple recessive alleles. Make sure also that you will be able to determine sex-linked disorders of inheritance in humans. Now, complex pattern of inheritance. How do these complex pattern of inheritance come up? You can remember that Mendel highlighted that in a pair of alleles, there are two alternative ways in which an allele can either be either dominant or recessive. But after this, after Mendel's work, review were made and people were able to find out that apart from these two, there are still other ways, other forms in which alleles can be expressed. These other forms are the ones that we call complex pattern of inheritance. We have these as examples of different patterns of complex patterns of inheritance. The independent incomplete dominance, the codominance, linked genes, sex-linked traits, multiple alleles. These are different complex patterns of inheritance. Now let's look at incomplete dominance. In incomplete dominance, there is an appearance of a third phenotype. When we say that there is an appearance of a third phenotype, you should be able to understand that in a complete dominance, heterozygote individuals and homozygote individuals, both of them, they have the same phenotype. If someone that is his gene allele of tallness is TT, capital TT, and that or the heterozygote of capital T, small t, both of them, both the heterozygote and the homozygote, they have the same phenotype. Why? Because tallness is dominant there. But in incomplete dominance, such thing doesn't happen. You see that the heterozygote is intermediate between those of the two homozygotes. What does that mean? Now, look at this. If we have a snapdragon plant that is crossed with a homozygote white flower, what will be the outcome of it? A red flower is crossed with a white flower. What will be the outcome? We see that the first filial generation will produce a pink color, which is an intermediate between these two colors. Neither did red dominate, neither did white dominate, but here you see that an intermediate color is being produced. So the intermediate form of this trait occurs because neither of them is completely dominant over the other. Both alleles of genes produces a combined trait. Both of them, they combine together and produce a unified trait. This is how incomplete dominance occurs. The outcome of incomplete dominance. Now, in codominancy, you have expression of both genes. Both genes are expressed. Codominant alleles, the phenotype of both the homozygote and to be produced in heterozygote individuals. Both alleles are expressed equally in codominance. How are they expressed? If we have a chicken, a black-feathered and white-feathered chicken that are crossed, what will be the outcome of it in codominancy? Two different chickens that have this particular trait. Is it expected to be black? When a black dominant and a white dominant is crossed, do you expect that it will be black? Or on the other hand, would you expect that it will be gray, combination of the two? No, it won't. If it is a complete dominance, that's when you will see that it will be either black or white. If it's in an incomplete dominant, yeah, probably, definitely it will be a gray color, mixture of white and black, it will be gray. But in codominancy, it will neither be black or neither be white. It will be a mixture of both. A checkered color will be produced in which you will see spots of white and spots of black. This is what happens in some spotted sheep that you do see, where you see display of the two colors. It is a codominance pattern of inheritance. Okay, another example of codominance pattern of inheritance is ABO blood group. You should understand this, that if an individual inherits an AB blood group, that in his or her blood group, that the red blood cell produces an antigen of both A and B. So both of them, they are codominant. None of them is left aside. Both of them produces their antigens, which is codominancy. And that's the reason why we say that AB, they are dominant over O, because O produces nothing. It doesn't produce any antigen on the red blood, on its red blood cell. So that's why we say that ABO is another example of codominancy. Now, sex-linked traits. How are sex determined? Sex determination, as I've always told you, occurs as a result of differentiation in the number of chromosomes that are found in human being. We know that in our total number of chromosomes, we have 46 number of chromosomes, which are equal to 23 pairs. Now, out of these 23 pairs, 22 pairs are called autosomes. These autosomes, they look alike, they are the same. You cannot differentiate them from each other. But the 23rd one are the one we call the sex chromosomes. We call them the sex chromosome. And they are the ones that are used to determine sex. Now, this sex chromosome, which is the 23rd pair of chromosomes, in a female, the female human being has its own sex chromosome, is in the form of XX. Why in a male sex chromosome will be XY. So you see that a female has two X chromosomes, which is XX, and a male has one X chromosome and one Y chromosome. Just like the diagram here, you see that a pair of chromosomes, the 23rd pair of chromosomes of a male, XY, look at the shape. Look at the shape. And why that of a female is XX. So for a sex to be determined, it lies on the man, because man bears these two. This is X, this is Y. Y, it stands for the male gender. YX produces the female gender. So during gametogenesis, formation of gametes, remember that meiosis will occur, in which that there will be a division. One will come out from here, one will come out from male. So if a female has a uniform chromosome, a female produces one female chromosome. Why this one will produce half of its own chromosome? Well, it can be either X or Y. So if it's XX, the gender of the child, of the offspring, will be female. If a male produces Y instead of X, the gender of the child will be male. That is how sex is being determined. Sex is being dependent on the type of chromosome or the type of gamete that the man produces during ejaculation or copulation. Now, let's look at genetic disorders, hereditary diseases. The first one, we have sickle cell anemia. A sickle cell anemia, an individual that have this disease have a red blood cell that is not conical and is not disc-like shape. Instead, the red blood cell will be in a sickle or half moon. In a sickle or half moon. So this type of red blood cell lacks some amount of amino acid in it. It contains only one molecule of amino acid in it. Or the sickle cell blood, which is oxygen carrying blood, differs from a normal hemoglobin. It cannot be able to convert the amount of oxygen that it's supposed to do. It is supposed to convert because its shape have been deteriorated. Remember that red blood cell is responsible for many vital roles, both transportation of oxygen and even it helps also in transportation of nutrients. So if the shapes have been damaged, if the shape is not in order, the person will suffer from a lot of health risk. That's why those that suffer from sickle cell anemia, they always suffer from a low number of a short lifespan. They don't live to the extent of every other person lives. They suffer from a lot of diseases, especially anemia. So anyone that have this type of issue, we have a reduced flow of oxygen and nutrient in his body because transportation of these things have been deprived. So due to this impaired circulation, individuals with this always have a major and adverse health risk or health problems. Now another one is cystic fibrosis. Here you will see a type of disorder where a sticky mucus grows on the digestive system or respiratory system of the body of the carrier. You see that the person will always find it difficult to digest it properly, and the person will be having a lot of respiratory issues because this mucus slows down the secretion of vital enzymes that should activate actions in the body during digestion and also during respiration. So anyone that faces this type of issue has always an average lifespan to live. The person's life expectancy is always reduced because of the person's diet is being affected as a result of inadequate digestion of food. Now, the next one we are going to look is sex-linked traits. Sex-linked traits or sex-linked disorders. We have two major sex-linked disorders, which are colorblindness and hemophilia. Sex-linked disorders, it always occur in an opposite way, in which if a female always transfers its own sex link to the male child, while the male transfers its own X link to the female, to their daughters, and they won't pass anyone to their son. So in color blindness, you see that the person who suffers from this type of sickness will be unable to differentiate between red and green color. Why? Because the X chromosome that affect the red and green receptors in the cells are being damaged. These alleles or two genes site on the body, they inherited this from either of the two recessive. So it is being caused as a result of inheritance of either of the two recessive alleles of genes that should be controlling the green and red color receptors in the eyes. So when these receptors are not being controlled, it will be happening to them. They won't even know that such disorder is occurring to them because these receptors that should be detecting these colors are not there. Now we have hemophilia. Hemophilia is a sex-linked disorder that causes problems with blood clotting. It happens in males. It's always rare for you to see a female that is suffering from hemophilia. This is a sex-linked disorder. So a single recessive of allele for hemophilia will cause this type of disorder. Thank you.